Hi friends, it's Deanna Williston with our Blooming Catholic Life. We're here today to talk about the famous Hexagon Granny Sweaters. You may call them a granny hex. That sounds a little intense. So we're just going to call them the Hexagon Granny Sweaters. Now they're done a lot like a granny square, but you can see our granny square has 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. That's what makes it a square. It also starts out with 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to have 4 sides and it starts out with 4. This makes your 4 sides in the beginning. So what happens if you do 6 in the beginning? You're going to end up with 6 sides. What happens if you do 5? You're going to end up with 5. What happens if you stuff 8 in there? You're going to end up with an octagon. I don't know who's doing that, but somebody might be. But the hexagon, the beauty of the hexagon is while it looks really weird when you're making it, when you're done, it ends up, you can fold it into this funny little shape. It's almost like an L or half of a T, right? It's just a big angle. What are we going to do with that? Well, that probably looks to you, if you've got an observant eye, as half a sweater. So I'm going to intersperse this video, hopefully, with some photos of what I've done. Now, this lovely ombre over here was my original teal attempt. I found out I need to do 20 rounds of this to fit my size. That's just my size. Is 20 rounds, 20 hexes? I don't know. 20 hexes around. So 20 times I'm going to go around this shape. And that's my size. It's going to give me 1/2 of a sweater. Here's a fun fact. That equaled, I think I used an I hook. It was either an H or an I. It exactly equaled 1 skein of the Red Heart ombre yarns. It's 100% acrylic. It does have a dye lot though. Be very careful on this. Figure out your size and how many you're going to need. I normally wear a medium or a large if it's something I want to be roomy. And so I use 1 skein for each, but it's tight on that. So if you are going to want to add extras, and you'll see what I mean in a minute, you're going to want to, just like when you buy these all-in-one granny squares, you look at the first word on here and it's telling you this is soft white. That is your outside row and your joining color that you're going to want to buy another one. In ombres, you may want to figure out if there's a coordinating solid color, one of these that you like. There's normally about 3 colors. There's a lightest, a middle, and then a dark. And so you're going to figure out which one you like best, which really highlights your work. And so what you want to use to sew. The safest bet is to go for the middle color because you're going to be doing some sewing and that will show out the least no matter which color you end up on. But if you're really trying to make an accent, say you have eyes that turn green when you wear dark teal, you'll want the dark teal, right? So consider that going in, how many skeins you need. Make sure you buy enough as well as buy enough of your extra skein. Now, what happened here was I didn't know about the dye lot rule when I started out. I thought all Red Heart yarn was no dye lot. I was wrong. This is a fairly soft yarn and tightly spun. And when I went and bought the others, you can see the colors don't exactly match. It not quite as prominent on camera, but trust me, it doesn't match. And even though they're both a size 4, same maker, same name, everything, this is heavier. It's not twisted as tightly. It definitely feels bulkier when working with it. And yeah, it did not work up the same. It definitely worked up a little bit differently. And like I say, the colors you could definitely see because each hexagon that you make, Hexagon Granny, is only going to be half a sweater. You may want them to match. Well, I had bought this purple about the same time as I had been gifted this teal, and they have the same twist to them, the same softness, same characteristics in the yarn itself. And purple and teal look kind of good together. So I thought I'd see what I could do. And I'll show you some of the pitfalls here. Let me see if I can stand up, if you can still see. Okay. See, it's a pretty nice color. What happened here? This is just basted together. Let's see if I can move my microphone up for you. Give me just a second here. Move the camera back a smidge. Microphone on. Okay. Let's talk about this. They are both 20 rounds, as I like to call them. But one of them, when I counted, started here at the initial hole and counted that. I don't do a magic circle to start. And so I counted this as 1 and then counted on the diagonal down to here, and I got to 20. This one, I did not start at that initial hole. I started at the next one. And so this one has 21 compared to this 20. So you can see the difference. I still think they look really nice together. Now you'll see here some of the dangers of doing the Hexagon Granny Sweaters is you don't necessarily want the darkest under your arm or the lightest. You really want to aim for the middle color. But sometimes your skein's not going to start on the middle color. If you're like me and your size takes up exactly the whole skein, you can't really pull some out until you get to the color you want. You're going to have to roll the dice to some extent. But you can see it sewed up pretty nice. I sewed it up with the purple. I honestly just did a slip stitch on the inside, and I think it's stitched up pretty nice. Where are the stitches? The stitches are on the sleeve. I turned them wrong side out and did the slip stitch there. So it's across the sleeve, and then I came across and down the back. Okay, across and down the back, and then I cut it off, and then I did the front. So the back, though, you can see I didn't do all of this. I counted out how much I thought would look nice, and I'm thinking now I need to do a little bit more here, a little bit more along towards the neck. And originally I thought, well, I could just kind of leave it as a V-neck. I'm not sure how much I like the collar look, but honestly, it's just as easy to turn it inside and tack it and make it into a V-neck. I could easily tack those corners down, or if you're someone who really likes a little fashion pin, and on these colors, I think some sort of a flower pin or patch could be really amazing. And so you could use it like this to hold that down. You could actually tack it down with an embroidered patch. You could even embroider your own flowers on whatever, or hold it down with a pin if you want something less permanent. Even if you like the collar look, that's where you are. So really, I had just basted it. I can take it, sew it up a little bit higher here and a little bit more here. And I am thinking of adding some sort of little flower design on it, I think, or a bee. Ooh, a little bumblebee. That would be adorable, right? Okay, so I'm thinking of going that direction for this, which is a pullover, you may have noticed. I'm also going to add an edging. I like this length. You can see I have kind of long arms. This is actually a 3/4 length sleeve shirt to start with, but I do a lot of outdoor work, chores, work with animal, cleaning. And so this length works really well for me. And you may think a granny square is not warm because look at all these holes. Trust me, this sucker is warm. This is like a heavy sweatshirt, even though it doesn't have the long sleeves. If you want to add sleeves, lots of people have done it. You've already can see there's plenty of room here. If you don't like this looser kimono sleeve, you can gather some up, do some stitching where you stitch like 2 of these gaps together. There's a lot of, and right at the elbow would be a lovely place to do it. That's probably where your sleeves are going to fall. So it's a great opportunity there for gathering sleeves. A lot of people have done it. And you can keep the granny look or you can do it solid. Again, you're going to have to switch. Here's the thing. Here's the trick. If you want to keep going with the granny look, this is all right side granny. When you make a granny square, you're basically just going around, around, and around. There's also a form of a granny square where you turn and go the other direction. So this way you can see the double crochets all look one way, and they look just a smidge. Oh, I'll hold up another one. They look just a smidge different on the back side, don't they? And so if you are going to add your rows while this is flat before you've sewn it together, you're going to get that different look. Every other row is going to be a little bit different on your sleeves. The other way to do it is to go ahead and seam it and then work it on the round this way, making sure that your right side is the same as the right side as your sweater. You can, again, I love this length. I think it shows off that I actually have a waist, which is not always seen when I like to wear my big baggy sweatshirts. And so you can add more if you like a longer look. You can also, because you could also leave a bit open down here at the bottom if you like it a little bit more open. So if you like a more buttoned down sweater look, more of, sort of like a cardigan look, but one that would stay fastened all the time. You can sew as much up or down as you want. Okay, let's take this one off. You can see it is just basted. That's why all those little strings are hanging there. And you're thinking, well, what's she got next? I will show you the one I made into a cardigan. Again, it's the same basic size. It may be off by 1 row, which I did not realize till, again, I was basting that up. Let me show you this one. I actually did the slip stitches right side together. So there's definitely a line. I like it. It's given a firmness, and this actually hangs differently. The sleeve hangs differently than it did in the other sweater. You can see it's a bit fuzzier. I think you can see that. Again, this yarn was not twisted as tightly. That's something I will look for in the future. I did leave it open in the front, and you're going to want to know, I sewed it almost the whole way in the back. Look, there's just that little bit that's not sewn in the back. And when I was sewing the sides together, I went almost the whole way. I went right up to that corner, but I didn't do it the whole way across on the back. I bunched it up just a little bit. The sleeves are the same length. Again, it should be the same length. Let's go ahead and put this on. So you can see I did not sew up the front. I just sewed the top of the seam sleeves and then down the back. The back I did do with right sides together. So the back seam you don't see, but the sleeve you do. Again, it just hangs a little differently, and I kind of like that look. What I did was put on these toggles. I just sewed them on with some thread. It was really just to try it out. I would like a longer toggle. So this toggle easily fits within these holes. You don't have to add buttonholes. A lot of people add button bands, but toggles work great on this. I just need a longer toggle. I have a neighbor who has a lot of bamboo in their yard. I'm tempted to just knock on the door and say, hello, I have a Sawzall. May I have some bamboo? And look how cute this is. You can see they're trying to go right in already. That's why I'm saying I need a little bit longer toggle. But the toggle is the right look if you're going for the kimono style. Now the difference is here I can choose to, again, lay down the collar or leave it more up. I like the laid down collar. And again, it wants to curl up more, but you can put a little pin or just a little tack with needle and thread. You can even, if you don't have thread to match your crochet, but you want to sew your crochet, what do? You know, this yarn is a combination of, can you see, it's a number of yarns spun together. Untwist it. Untwist it to the length you want. Cut that off, and you can pull. You can just pull, untwist it, and use one of those threads to sew your piece together. That's a great way to do it. You could even make buttons that exactly match. If you've never done that, you can get a nice button that has a good shank on it. You can wrap them in the yarn, and so you won't see them at all. That's another way to go. Again, this one is very warm. Okay, so this is the Hexagon Granny Square. This, you showed your cardigan and pullover. I want to show you again. Look at the underarms. You don't necessarily want the darkest or the lightest. It's difficult to match. This one did a decent job of matching the color variations. It is an ombre. Again, buy enough dye. You want the right color. I haven't put an edging on this yet. You know my favorite edging of all time is the reverse single crochet. It has an extra twist in it that makes for a very tough edge. What I mean by tough is it can stand up to a lot of abuse. And I've told you I wear this gardening, animal care, cleaning around the house. This is a little bit nicer one. So in this case, I'm probably using it because it's a little bit more fancy and decorative. But on the pullover one, I'm definitely using it because it's going to see a lot of abuse. It's also nice if you want to keep one. They do look nice. I like them. And you could do them in some very fine yarns. These, of course, are done in Yarnspiration's Red Heart. They're not the fanciest, most expensive yarns. But if you wanted to do them in a fancy yarn and keep it set aside, the cardigan would probably be the way to go. Okay, friends, I have a fun project. The next one is a fun project coming up. I'm excited to show you. It's a little bit late for Valentine's Day, but some of you may still be working. So let's see if we, you know what? I may air these differently. So if you've already seen the Granny Square Heart, Yay. If not, stay tuned. You can find it. I'm probably going to be creating a crochet and knit playlist soon because there's so many of these videos that I do. Again, my crafty, music, nature-loving videos tend to be Wednesdays at 2. Mondays are book reviews, and Fridays are how to apply theology. How do you live your life of faith? And every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m., we do some scripture studies. We do something called Lectio Divina, where we're learning about and meditating on the scriptures. So I hope you join us for some of our other content as well. It's the full life of a secular Franciscan. I'm in the secular Franciscan order. It's the full life, how I live that as a lay person. So, very friends, may God bless you and keep you and shine his light upon you. And may he grant you good relaxation and creativity as you make your charitable projects or something to brighten your day, friends. God bless you.